In the beginning of this year, I decided to make a sock challenge for myself. I decided to knit 12 different pairs of socks using different techniques and different yarn. And today I would like to sum up the result of this sock challenge. If you are new on this channel, my name is Kate and this is my channel about knitting and crocheting. And today we will talk about sock knitting. In the beginning of 2023 I was tired of knitting the same socks again and again. I really enjoyed sock knitting, but I was desperately needed to learn new techniques, try new yarn, and to help myself a bit, to motivate myself a bit, I decided to make a sock challenge. I decided to knit 12 different socks and to learn new heel techniques, new techniques to finish, to close the toe, to new cast on methods, to try new yarn, new ribbing, new patterns, things like this. And I made it! I knitted 12 pairs of socks. Actually, I made even more than 12. I have tried different constructions. I have tried the cuff down, the toe up. I have tried 3 different heels. I have tried 3 different cast on methods. I have tried different yarns, and today I would like to sum up all of it a bit, and also I would like to discuss how all this new knowledge changed the way I'm working on my vanilla socks, how my vanilla socks recipe have changed during this year. Small disclaimer before we start: I don't have all the pairs of socks I made this year because some of them become presents for my friends and family, so I gifted them already and they are not with me, but I still learned something while I was working on this sock, so I will talk about them and I will show you pictures and videos I managed to make before I gifted them. Let's start with yarn. I have one I really didn't like, I have one I really liked, and I have one which are very popular, but I didn't get why. The yarn I like the least would be Drops Delight. I haven't ever heard someone talking about this yarn, so I bought it out of curiosity because a lot of yarn from Drops I like, I enjoy, I work with it. This Cumulus blouse was knitted with yarn from Drops, and I was curious if a sock yarn also would be good. And here you can see socks this pair I made for my son. And the reason I don't like this yarn, I don't like how it looks after 2 or 3 washing, after you wear these socks for a bit. It's peeling a lot, it's losing the color, and the way the socks looks are not clean anymore, not nice. I don't know, it's losing something, and socks very quickly become not dirty, but not very nice. I need the socks I make, so I prefer them to last as long as possible, and that's the reason for me not to work with this yarn anymore. And now let's talk about yarn I liked. It's become my favorite for socks, and I highly recommend you to try this one. It's Downtown by Schepjes. It's I hold one socks because if you're interested I will link the video where I explain why I have only one here. But yeah, I made more. So this yarn is incredibly soft, incredibly pleasant next to the skin. It's very nice to wear, but at the same time it behaves very nicely. You can wash it again and again. It won't lose colors, it will look the same, it won't peel much. So the quality of the yarn is very high. I also like the colors. I like these stripes I like that they are not too thin, and I like how the colors combine together. I like the way socks looks. I like the way stitches looks on this sock. You can see they are pretty even, and yeah, I think I don't know another yarn I can compare with this one regarding the way it feels, regarding this how soft it is and how nice to work with this yarn. So it's definitely become my favorite, and if you have never tried this one, I highly recommend it to you. Another yarn I would like to discuss, it's Opal. I can say I didn't like this yarn, but I also can say it's become my favorite. It's so many people talking about this yarn, so many people like this yarn. So then I bought this. I was like, whoa, I probably will be in love. I will be over the moon. The yarn should become my favorite because everyone seems so like it so much. And then I worked with it, I made socks, and I was like, eh. The first one, this Kiss series, the first socks I made was for my brothers, and I even wasn't so impressed by colors of this yarn. I mean, it was okay, it was beautiful, but not as beautiful as others describes it. It was okay. I don't know what to add. When we talk about this color, I love socks much more. I like colors much more. They are really nice. It's also Kiss series, but they're another color. And here I can say, okay, now I see why people are so like this yarn so much. But at the same time, it's still not my favorite. It's a bit tough. It's a bit thin. It's thinner than other yarn I worked with. For example, thinner than Hippies Downtown. I mean, it's good yarn. Don't get me wrong. It's a good yarn. But it's not... I'm not so impressed as others. I don't know what's wrong with me. Please let me know what's your thoughts about opal yarn. Are you a fan, or maybe I didn't get it? Maybe I should try it in another series. I also made the socks for my husband with Van Gogh series, and I think these colors, the way these socks looks, I like much more than Kiss series. So maybe that's the key. Maybe I need to find a series of this yarn I like. I definitely like that they have so many options, and they seems doing very good job designing new colors, new color palettes. But I mean, it's not the softest one. I always need my socks carved down, but because I was making this challenge, I wanted to try toe-up construction, and here is it. It's a pattern by Pearl Soho, and it's a free pattern. You can try it by yourself, and instructions are very good written, so it's very easy to work on it. But I didn't like it. That's the reason why I have only one sock. I have never even started the second one. Yes, I don't know, I just didn't like the way how much attention I should pay during, like, while working on this sock, making increases, making the heel and things like this. I remember when I finished this one, I stopped knitting socks for almost a month or maybe more, because I have a rule, like, before I start a new pair of socks, I have to finish the second sock for the previous one. And I normally don't have problem with second sock syndrome. I'm normally okay to knit the second one. But in this case, it was incredibly difficult. In this case, I was avoiding this at all costs. I didn't want to start second sock. I really wanted to work on something else, on used pair of socks, but not this one. And in the end I gave up. I was like, yeah, okay, if I don't like this construction this much, it's okay to drop it off. So these socks didn't become the part of this sock challenge because I have never finished this pair. But at least I have tried, and what I would say, even now I'm telling you I didn't like this construction, but I would say try it. Give it a chance. Maybe I don't like it, but maybe you will like it. They are different, so it may be, but this would be your way to go. This would be your favorite way to knit socks, and I will recommend you to try on this pattern. It's really good, describes really good the way these constructions work. Because I'm showing you this sock, the yarn is also from Hippies, and it's also incredibly soft and very, very nicely looks very nice, and the colors are beautiful. I also like this pattern here when it's a Colorwork, and I like how it looks. I think I will never I don't think I will ever need a second sock, so probably I will frog this one and will need the same color work, but the cuff down. Cuff down is my way to go in socks. It's like my favorite. I know it now and I'm fine with it. Let's move on to cast on methods. The first one I have tried was Bulgarian cast on method, and it was the way it looks on the sock, I like it a lot. It looks very nicely. It's kind of, especially if you use 2x2 ribbing on your cuff, and then this cast on method kind of combine stitches 2x2 as well, and it looks very smoothly, it looks very nicely, like the edge become very nice and very clean, but I think it's not stretchy enough, so it's okay to use this cast on method for socks, but I'm a bit careful with it now. Now I'm like, it's not my way to go because of stretchiness. Another one I have tried was German twisted cast on method, and you can see it here. I like the way it looks. I won't say it's very different from the long tail cast on, but still it's a bit different. I think it looks a bit more clean, and it's very nice. The way it looks combined with ribbing, it's very nice. I think it's more, I think it looks better than cable cast on methods, and it's not so difficult as, for example, tubular cast on. Because, for example, to make a tubular cast on, I need to watch a tutorial like almost every time. I forget how to make it, and I have to go and watch tutorial before make this cast on. For German twisted cast on, you can memorize it. It's not so difficult, but the way it looks, I think it's worth it. And I would say this cast on method became my default one. That's now the method I use for my vanilla socks. It's also very stretchy, the same as the simple long tail cast on, no problem with it. So, and that's important for socks, yeah? Another cast on method I have tried was cable cast on method. You can see it here. And that's the method where you don't need the long tail, so in case you would like to avoid a long tail, that's the way to go, and it will work for socks. It's not as stretchy as the long tail one or German twisted cast on, but it's stretchy enough. I would say it's better than Bulgarian cast on method, and yeah, to be honest, I can't imagine the reason why I can't use long tail cast on methods for my sock, so I don't see the reason why to use this over than just out of curiosity and for challenge like this. So I have tried, it's a good one. I don't think I will use it for my socks in future. Let's talk about heels, shall we? Flap and gusset heel is my default one to use. I hope I pronounced the name of this method correctly. You need to pick up stitches for this one, and it doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it. It's not a problem for me at all, but I know for a lot of people it's a big deal and they would like to avoid picking up stitches. So if you one of them, then it's not the heel you will like, but I like it. For me it's a way to go. That's how it looks. To knit with socks I use a pattern from a book Knit With by Kika. I don't remember the yarn name. I will put it here. The yarn is good. It's okay. It's a bit thinner than our sock yarn, and it's a bit tough. I would say it feels almost the same as opal yarn. So it's a good one. I can't say it's become my favorite, but I probably will buy more because I like the colors they have, and they normally have one color yarn. So the pattern is very simple. It's 2x2 ribbing, and here she used flip and gusset heel, and that's my default heel I use in my sock knitting. I used it before this challenge, and it's like The first one I learned, you have to pick up stitches to knit this one. It doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people doesn't like this about this heel method, heel construction. I'm fine with it. I don't know. Not a problem, I can pick up stitches. I even prefer it compared to short rows. We will talk about this later on. So yeah, that's how the heel looks. I like this heel. It's like my favorite one, and it stayed my favorite, heel I use for my vanilla sock. But because I wanted to learn new techniques, I have tried a short row heel. Here is it. But let me tell you about the socks first. So this is socks also from a book called Sock You Too. And it's a socks with Colorwork. We will talk about Colorwork later on. Currently, the important part is the heel construction here. So here is a short row heel, and I didn't like it. I know it's like the favorite for everyone, but for me it was very tricky to make. I have holes here. I end up having holes, and for me it was very difficult to fix this. You can even still see them even when I have tried to fix it. It was tricky for me to make this heel looks very nice, to make it clean, because I always had some problems, some issues. I made errors, I had to go back, unravel everything. Didn't enjoy it at all. I told you about flip and gusset construction. You have to pick up stitches there. Here you don't have to pick up stitches. You basically knit the short rows to form this part, and then you need short rows to turn to form this part. You work on half of your stitches, and you don't have to pick up anything. It's great if you don't like picking up stitches, but yeah, do you like short rows? That's the important question about this heel. Another thing I didn't like about this sock construction, because this part is not wide enough. We don't increase stitches here, so it stays the same as the cuff part. As we cast it on 60, I think I cast it on 60 here, and we keep 60. So it doesn't feel very nicely when I wear it. It's not very comfortable for me. Let me know what your thoughts. Is it I know people also call it boomerang heel. Is it your favorite one? And if it's your favorite one, do you like is it comfortable for you to wear, or you just enjoy knitting this? But what about wearing? I decided to try this heel one more time, but with decreases and increases. And here what I got, it's socks I made for my son. And what I would say, probably for kids it's okay to knit this type of a heel without decreases and increases. It's fine. It's more for bigger sizes. It's not even like kids or not kids. It's like this size 26. My son normally wears size 26. Something more probably would be okay with decreases and increases, but something smaller, it's okay to skip this part. But I wanted to try because I was curious if it will fit more nicely. So it's the same heel, the same way. You also use short rows to form the heel, but before you work on the short rows, you make increases, and then you're done with short rows, you making decreases to go back to the count of stitches you cast it on. So this way this part becomes wider and socks should fit nicer. I don't know, I have to try it for bigger socks, but for my son it's also worked nice. He likes it and it fits nicely. So I think if I will knit a heel with short rows, I don't know why, because I don't like it personally, but if for some reason I will need to knit it, I will do it with decreases and increases. Decide it solves a problem, the issue with fitting. And the third heel construction I would like to show you, it's a strong heel. Strong is not because it's strong, not because not because it's like strong heel. It's because of I think it's a surname of the author of this heel. It's also carved down. You also don't have to pick up any stitches here, so it's also good news. But it's not with like there are some short rows and decreases and increases, but it looks a bit differently with boomerang heel. And I think this one is perfect for self-stripe yarn, because look at this, while you're working on the heel, you continue working on this part of the sock as well. So all the stripes still here, and they look better on the sock, I think. I like this heel construction, and I think for me it's become the one I will use with self-striped yarn. I think it's the biggest pros of this heel construction, because the stripes keep going. You don't separate the heel completely from the leg, and it's important for self-striped yarn. But for another type of socks, I don't know, I probably will stay with flip and gusset. I still prefer this one more, but it's also an option for me now. I like this one. Before this challenge, when I was working on the top part of a sock, I always was closing it with a needle, but not with Kitchener stitch, but just I was making decreases until I'll have 9 stitches on my needles, and then I was just closing it up with a needle, less like putting it together. So no Kitchener stitch here. But because of this challenge, again, I decided to try something new, and I decided to close it all with a Kitchener stitch. And I like the way it looks much more than my previous method. I think the socks even fits better with this toe construction. I think it even fits better than my previous method. So from now on, I always close the toe with Kitchener stitch, and it's very easy because I decreasing until I will have like 16 stitches or even 12, and then I closing it, so it's very small amount of stitches I need to close. And it's after you do it like for several times, it's easy to remember how to do this stitch, and it's become comparatively easier. I remember when I have tried a Kitchener stitch for the first time, I was like, oh my god, I will never do it again. It was so difficult, it doesn't look nice. And look at this, look at this. I didn't give up. I have tried one more time and then one more time again, and now it looks nice. Let's talk about ribbing a bit. The first time I made the socks fully with ribbing from like calf down, the whole socks is ribbing. It was the pattern from book Knit This, and then I realized I can play with it. I can use... Sorry, my dog is going crazy. And then I realized I can use different types of ribbing. I can play with it. I can do it 2x2, 3x1, 5x1, and there is no limits here. So, for example, in these socks I used 5x1, and the whole sock made like this. I have tried very different options, and in the end I decided that 2x2 ribbing is my favorite for a cuff. And if I'm planning to knit sock in a stock knit, I'm planning to work with Colorwork or something like this, I will use 2x2 for a cuff. But if I'm working with self-striped yarn and it's a simple sock where I won't add any details as a Colorwork or something like this, then I prefer to work with ribbing like 3-to-1, 5-to-1, 4-to-1, something like this, depends on the amount of stitches I have on my needle. And I knit the whole sock like this. Sometimes I leave the foot in stock knit, sometimes not. You can play with it and look what would be fits you better. And for self-striped yarn, I think it's very nice thing to play with, because you still see the way the yarn was designed. You still see the stripes, you still see these motifs, but at the same time it's not a stock knit, it's not so, boring. So if you're tired with it, you can play with ribbing always. And of course Colorwork. I have tried Colorwork on my socks, I loved it a lot. And that was the first attempt. It's again socks from a book, Sock You Too, and I love the way the socks looks. Here I combined together this white yarn. It's a tweed, sock tweed from Lana Grosso. It's very nice yarn, I like it. And another yarn, brown one, is from Scipius. I think it's down. We'll put the name here. I like how they look together because this tweed from Lana Grossa has small brown splashes, and these brown splashes looks very nicely together with this yarn, and it's a coffee sock, so brown seems very nice here. I don't know, I like these socks, I like this, and I like this color work. I think I did a good job. If you look at the socks from outside, I think it's pretty even. It was tricky, and I would say these socks are not so stretchy as others without color work, so you should be careful with it sometimes. Now I know sometimes it's better to work with color work on needles a bit bigger than the one you use for stock knit, but I didn't know it then, so it's still okay. I wear these socks, I love them. And I like how the color work looks on socks, especially I like that it's on this part on the leg, and then when you keep the foot simple. I mean, I like then it's fully color work, it's beautiful. But for me it would be too much, because I also realized during this year that sock knitting for me is something about relaxing, about like I need socks when I don't want to think about the project too much, when I don't want to count, when I simply want knit and don't want to think at all. It's like mindless process for me. And then we talk about color work. Of course you need to check the pattern to see which row you are in. You have to keep count, you have to pay attention a lot, so it's not mindless. And I like then this part still mindless because we don't have color work here, so that's the perfect combination for me. Like, you have something interesting here and then you have time to relax. I also made an attempt to make my own color work. I used AI for this, I created charts, I even made a pattern. Probably I will make it public next year. I didn't have time, unfortunately, this year. The link would be somewhere here if you're interested to know more about these socks. And it also was part of a challenge for me, because I was curious if I will be able to create a new socks without using patterns from another designer, and I was able, and I love the way the socks looks. They become a present in the end. I gifted them, so that's why I can show them to you right now, but you see pictures, you see photos, and yeah, I'm happy with the result. Because of this challenge, I also decided to participate in the sock knit alone from Steven West this year during this summer, and I made these socks, and they are adorable. I love them, I love the yarn, I love the way the socks look, but it was so difficult because this sock, on each step I was learning new techniques for me. That was when I have tried cables for the first time. I have tried slip stitches for the first time. And it was so interesting, but at the same time it was so, like, not difficult, but I had to pay attention on each step, on each row, what I'm doing here. I had to count, it wasn't mindless at all. So that was when I realized sock knitting for me, it's not about this. I'm okay to work on sweaters like this, I'm okay to work on hats like this, but for some reason socks, It's not about difficulties. Socks should be mindless. I don't know why. It's for me. Of course it's for me. It could be very different for you. And if it's different for you, let me know in the comments. Let's discuss. And I think a very important thing I would like to say, Steven West made an amazing job. He made amazing videos with amazing instructions, so it was no problem for me to learn these new techniques. And it was amazing opportunity to see how many details you can add to your socks. And now, if I would like to, I can do something like this, not the whole sock together, not repeating the pattern, but I can pick up small things from this pattern and use it for my own socks. The battery in my camera have died, so actually it's a new day. I'm filming this part of the video. It's actually a new year. Happy New Year! I hope you had a great holidays. I hope you rested and feel nice. I hope you had a great time and ready for the new year. And now I would like to discuss my vanilla socks recipe. Then I say vanilla socks recipe, I mean the way I knit my socks without any patterns, like the very basic way, the techniques I use from socks to socks, which are very comfortable for me. The socks very comfortable to wear when I use these techniques, and I enjoy knitting this, I enjoy working with these techniques. In the beginning of this year, my vanilla sock recipe was a long tail cast on. I used a 2x2 ribbing, knit 2 purl 2. I used a flap and gusset heel, and the way I was closing the stitches, I don't know even if there is a name for this. I was just making decreases until I will have 4 stitches on my needles, and then I was closing them, tying them up together with a needle. That's it. So what changed now? What I have right now? My vanilla sock recipe today is it's long tail cast on. Still, it's my preferred cast on method for socks, but sometimes from time to time I use Germany twisted cast on. I like both on the same level, and I basically use the one I feel more in the mood for, and that's it. There's no reason why I will use one or another. I like both. And then when we go to ribbing, if I use self-striped yarn, currently I will go for ribbing all over the sock. And yeah, I don't know, I think it looks a bit more interesting with just a stock knit stitch. And I will of course use a stock knit stitch in case of color work and things like this when it's needed by a pattern. But if it's self-striped yarn, ribbing all the way around of a sock. When we talk about heels, I still prefer flap and gusset heel. I don't know, it doesn't bother me to pick up stitches. I'm okay with it. The only thing that which have changed, in case I'm working with self-striped yarn, I prefer a strong heel. I think it's perfect for self-striped yarn. It looks amazing. It's if you have you will have more or less the same stripes all over the sock, and I think it's very cool. And yeah, so now it depends on the type of yarn I'm using. Another thing which have changed is the way I'm working on the top part. Now I'm using Kitchenery stitch always. It's like my go-to method. I prefer the way it looks. I like how it's. I like to wear socks which the top part was closed with Kitchenery stitch. So yeah, this part have changed. And what is your vanilla sock recipe? What do you use? What's your go-to method to knit your socks? And that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found new techniques. Maybe you will try something new, or maybe I just inspired you to go Google for new type of heels, for new type of custom methods, for new type of, I don't know. See you in my next videos, and until then, happy knitting, happy crocheting.